Welcome to GreenBiz Studio. I'm John Davies, Senior Vice President at GreenBiz, and I'm excited today to be speaking with Matt Handford, Partner and Principal of EY. Welcome, Matt.
Thanks, John. It's a pleasure to be with you today.
So, Matt, how are financial institutions starting to think about the practical considerations of their climate ambitions, the targets and programs that they've established?
Well, John, I think we're in a very exciting and also evolving space when it comes to the financial environment and landscape and the response that we're seeing across that. So I'm not just referring to banking and capital markets, but also asset owners, asset managers. So really just thinking through everyone involved in allocating capital and how that is being influenced by the climate agenda, the energy transition, and what we're seeing is some of the practical implications of that. So I think we're all aware there's been a lot of ambition and commitment that's been articulated by leaders across many of these financial institutions. And it's an amazing thing to see. What we are seeing sort of more closely on the ground in discussing with our clients is more of a focus now on what do we do given the ambition and commitments. And certainly there's a lot of focus on really understanding some of the things that are typically outside of the control of a financial institution. And what I'm referring to here is the emissions that result from your investment exposure, or what are commonly called financed emissions. I think there's a lot of focus about how to account for that and how corporates across the financial landscape really think about the implications of their capital allocation from an emissions perspective and what that means in terms of the targets and the commitments that they have established.
And this is kind of a recent development. So you're out in the market. What are you seeing that's driving this?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's several key drivers. I think that the market is certainly doing its fair share, and so we're seeing investors and asset owners, those that have capital to deploy, really starting to articulate to their business partners and to the asset managers that work with that capital to more closely align with their ambition and commitment. So the market is certainly doing a lot of that driving. I think regulators are starting to align as well, and we've seen a lot of focus both from an EU perspective as well as the US, really starting to think about how companies should adequately reflect the exposure that they have, from a disclosure perspective. I think obviously that's an evolving space, but we're seeing companies really trying to get ahead of that to some degree. The other aspect I think is the evolution of frameworks and standards in this space. As you mentioned, it's fairly new, and so there is not a particularly mature, consistent, standardized approach, although we are seeing one or two standards, for example, the Partnership for Carbon Accounting Financials, or PCAF, starting to stand out as standards that more companies are aligning to as they think about how to better present their baseline exposure from a financed emissions perspective.
Sort of wrap it up. I know you can't mention clients by name or anything, but can you give us an example or two of how companies are responding, what you're working with your clients on?
Absolutely. We're working with several European and US-based clients in the banking and capital market space, as well as several insurers, global insurers, and asset owners, pension funds, both here in the US and abroad. And I think that there's some commonality and some differences in approach. So, on a common front, I think there is a clear desire to better understand what their current state looks like, and so there's a lot of focus on really baseline activity across their balance sheets, just working to better understand the length and breadth of that exposure from an emissions perspective. And then where we're seeing perhaps a little bit of a difference in speed of movement or speed of application. I think banking and capital markets are really starting to advance in terms of what this means from a portfolio perspective, how this impacts their corporate loan books and other financing activities, what this means from a relationship perspective with their clients and counterparties, and then certainly with our insurance clients, that there's a lot of focus on just better understanding what the potential impacts might be to investment portfolio rebalancing or realignment. So it's an evolving space. I think this is seen as a journey, not a destination, and we're at the start of that journey.
Well, it's an exciting time, and as you said, we're just starting out, and there's a lot of opportunities. I've been talking with Matt Handford, partner and principal of EY. Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, John. Have a great day.